within the area where you can drive,
Yeah.
there's, I would say, about a dozen parishes that are spread out. Um, in all the rest of the other parishes, you have to either take a ferry or fly.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's Sister Elizabeth, and you are listening to In the Company of Charity, the podcast of the Daughters of Charity. We have a great episode for you today, but before we get to that, I want to say hello to my co-host, Sister Liz.
Hello, hello. How's everything?
Everything's well. Everything's going well. How about you?
Good. Experiencing Easter joy at this point.
There you go. There you go. I love that.
Great stuff.
We're moving toward the wonder of ascending and, the fire of Pentecost.
All of
Those are good
that.
things. Yeah. Our episode today is with Sister Frances Vista, who is in Anchorage, Alaska. And she was just delightful. It was great talking with her and getting to know more about the work of the sisters in Alaska, just about the church in Alaska. It's really, really fascinating. And she talks a lot about, the presence of the sisters, the sisters just being there for the people, being there as a witness to church and to faith, and just the strong faith of the Alaska Natives is just really beautiful. I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy the episode because she just really helps that mission come to life in the things we talked about.
You have to be a strong character to live up there, I think. And life can be extremely harsh and difficult. And I just think of the months of winter that they have and the lack of sunlight. That would be a struggle. Get me one of those little happy lamps, I think I would need. But
see, I'm a darkness girl. I like the dark, so I'm intrigued by it. I would really like that. The longer, I don't know why, it's kind of, the sun is starting to come up early here, and I'm like, oh, just let it stay dark a little longer. And then, the other day it was still light till 7. I thought, oh,
amazing.
Yeah, but it's only for like a short time. It's only for a few months, so it's okay. And I guess that's kind of the same. She talks a little bit about that, just the whole climate, not just climate and weather, but climate in the way that affects people, and how you get your work done in an area that's so huge.
Yeah, that was the other thing. There's such a huge geographical space up there to cover and to reach people and to get out there. And I think it takes a certain personality, and I think she has that, of wanting to reach people, wanting to accompany them and be present. And that's a huge gift.
Yeah, I agree. Well, why don't we let Sister Frances Vista tell us herself about her work. We hope everyone enjoys the episode, and just listen to some of the challenges that she talks about too.
Yep, enjoy it. And as always, you can reach us at companyofcharity@gmail.com. Send us your comments and questions. Follow us on Instagram, all of those good things. And, leave us a review if you are so moved on Apple Podcasts. Give us a little rating. 5s only. No, I'm just kidding. Feel free to give us a rating and review over there. Thanks so much, guys.
So welcome, everyone. This is In the Company of Charity, the podcast by the Daughters of Charity. I'm Sister Elizabeth, and I am here with Sister Frances Vista. And I have been waiting for this interview with Sister Frances because she's in a very interesting mission in Alaska. Now, Alaska is just one of the 50 states of the Union of the United States, but we do tend to kind of think of Alaska as a little bit of an exotic, kind of faraway place, a mysterious place. I know I'm fascinated by like Below Zero on the National Geographic Channel, and I realize that's not all the way Alaska looks. So, Sister Frances, we welcome you to our podcast today. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm
That's
kind of
great.
excited about this.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited about it because I know there's a lot of kind of myth or people think, like, are you all in your 6 months of daylight or 6 months of darkness? And we know Alaska's a diverse, very diverse place. So tell us a little bit about what you do. Where in Alaska are you, and what the missions are there, so we can kind of get to know as we get into our conversation today.
Sure. Well, I am located in Anchorage, Alaska, and it's really the city. It's the biggest city in the whole state. Um, I work for the Archdiocese of Anchorage, Juneau, which was newly merged last year September. And so the Archdiocese of Anchorage and Diocese of Juneau is now merged together with, believe it or not, with a Vincentian Archbishop.
Oh,
Uh,
how fantastic is that? Yeah, that's
uh,
great.
Archbishop Andrew Belisario, and some people might recognize that name. It was a plus for the Vincentian family to have another Vincentian to be an archbishop, especially in a far-flung place like we are. You could call it exotic. I always think I'm always in another country, literally,
Yeah, yeah.
because we're so far away. And we talk about you all there at the lower 48, and who knows what's happening in lower 48. We have our own world here in the state of Alaska. So, yeah, there could be easily not know what's going on in the lower 48. We just, we have enough things to think about and be concerned about, and fun and ministry to do here. And
That's great. So tell us, what do you do? What is your work there?
well, I actually, this is my second stint here in the Archdiocese of Anchorage. I was here in 8 years ago, working, doing the same work for the Archdiocese. I'm the director of the Catholic Native Ministry. And when I left, we had Sister Mary Peter Diaz, who was doing a Hispanic ministry. And so she kind of took on the Alaska Native ministry also. Thanks be to God by the time I left. So she always says this, that I have trained the women and men that are in the ministry very well, that she basically had to do ministry of presence. She's very busy with Hispanic ministry. And so she made it a point to be present. So coming back here, I came here in April or May of 2019, and doing the same thing, and director of the Catholic Native Ministry. Let me see. The biggest joke about it now is, now that we merge with Diocese of Juneau, so our one of our priests here is saying, "Oh, sister, you span from Aleutian Island all the way to the southeast of Alaska, if you really think about it, because we have Alaska natives from one end to the other end." So right now, I'm not doing all the way to Juneau. We have to wait and see another whole year what Archbishop Andrew would like me to do. Right now, I'm just fine with what we have
What
right
it
now.
sounds like you have just enough in territory. So
Right,
how
right.
big in people? How many people are we talking about? And how big are these dioceses? And what's the Catholic population? Or I imagine that's
Oh,
not really a concern, but
yeah.
parish life, what is that even like?
Well, okay. Well, the whole state of, let me see, whole state of Alaska, I think like about 730,000 people.
Wow. Okay.
And, but for the population of Anchorage is about, let me think, would be 275,000.
Hmm. So yeah, I mean, that's the biggest city, as you were saying, but
Right,
275,000 isn't.
right. And population-wise, well, Catholic-wise, I would think the last one I heard is like about really still very small, about 1%.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a small place. I mean, big place, big land mass,
Right,
people spread out far and wide. So I imagine that does make ministry difficult. And as you say, you
very,
feel like you've got more than enough, probably just keeping up with what's within your reach, I would
right.
imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
The challenge about that is, within the area where you can drive,
Yeah.
there's, I would say, about a dozen parishes that are spread out. Um, in all the rest of the other parishes, you have to either take a ferry or
Hmm.
fly.
Wow. Yeah.
So you go to the Diocese of Fairbanks, which is really spread out. There are little villages that's about, 300 people population, 400, 500, 600. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a good number are small, 200 to
Hmm.
300. And that's a challenge for the Catholic Church
Yeah,
to
I'm sure.
really be able to get personnel to be out there, like in the Aleutian Islands, in that area, you know, sometimes they're very, I can't remember the name of the place where the diocesan priest or anybody that will be able to go and celebrate the Eucharist with the people. It's like every other month, you know.
Wow. Yeah. Even on
So
a good day, never mind in the midst of a pandemic, what that must be like.
yeah,
As we are recording this still towards the end, we hope and pray
right,
that we are towards the end of this pandemic. It's February, and so it must be very difficult
yeah.
to reach
Oh,
out.
I spoke about the challenge. The challenge is
Mhm.
especially for the ministry that I do, because Anchorage is the biggest city, and a lot of these small villages, they do not have, all they have is a clinic. So anything major, illness, surgery, sickness, um, pregnancy that is a difficult pregnancy, and they have to medevac everybody here. And
Wow. So it is as remote, I guess, as we might think
yeah,
that it is. Not maybe not generally speaking, but in outside of a place like Anchorage, which is the biggest city, outside of that,
mhm,
becomes more and more difficult to connect with, um, you know, the resources that I guess those of us, as you call it, in the lower 48, feel like
mhm,
we have pretty good access to. Even
mhm,
rural areas here are probably more have those services more accessible than someplace as remote as some of
right.
the villages that you're talking about. So is
Yeah.
that part of what you do? You help connect people? I mean, what's a day in the life of Sister Frances look like in Anchorage, Alaska?
Um, having have lived in on the Navajo reservation for 13 years,
Hmm.
I I could say there's still a whole lot to learn, but I've learned a lot on the ministry of presence. And I firmly believe that, and especially working with the natives. It doesn't necessarily mean Alaska Natives or Navajo or Hopi, or actually, if you ask me, anywhere you are, even in a big city, you
Hmm.
know, the presence is so important of building that relationship. You know, I've had ministries that were like a desk job and I push papers and things like that. But there's nothing like being there for the people.
Hmm.
It's something that you learn. It's not, you acquire it basically, even in the midst of a lot of paperwork or computer work and things like that. But life is, yeah, different. Um, if you don't have that uh, relationship or having to talk to someone in person, or with the pandemic, it makes it very, very difficult, because it's that basic ministry of presence had to be changed in a different way. So my life is basically what comes off on a phone request, or a call, or comes in a computer and an email, or Zoom meetings, and having to bring the Eucharist to somebody else, So now, we're a little bit open here. I can, for those who are in a boarding care, I can quickly, easily just come in and visit with them over the phone, and then I come and I bring the Eucharist.
I realize we've had to really rethink and reimagine how we engage in ministry with people, where we can't linger and we can't stay to, as you say, get to know people. But we also, we can't stay behind the desk and behind the computer. For us, certainly as Daughters of Charity, it's the face-to-face work with people who are poor, suffering, sick, those who need that contact. As you know, I work with refugees, and I often talk about in our area. I live in a city in New York, not in the city of New York, but in a pretty populated city. And I often talk about being a good neighbor.
Yeah, there you
That
go.
we live in a neighborhood where people feel free to come knock on our door, and at any time, and we kind of map out our days and map out our weeks around how we can be of service to the people that we live around, and how we can be neighbors together, and create community within our small area. I guess that challenge for you is that neighborhood is a much bigger and wider space. It's not quite the same easy access. So how does that work? You said that you might have phone calls, emails. You
Well,
might
like
have
I
to.
said, we were there, the working with the Alaska Natives, they go, there's an Alaska Native Medical Center, which is a wonderful, beautiful hospital, state of the art services and everything. Of course, everybody gets medevac there. And so the connection is that, with the natives, they know one another.
Right.
So when somebody gets medevac to Anchorage, so the word is out. And for whatever is the need, especially if they're Catholic, So I get a phone call with regards to that, whatever the needs are. If there's a family that needed a place to stay, especially now it's very difficult, trying to find places. And so it's activating the people that people who are, never make it, they get medevac and they pass away day after. We have like, we do a lot of texting. So
I don't know what we did before texting came. I really don't know. Thank God for it. Yeah.
Right. So, I have like 25 people that I text practically every single day. We have a prayer ministry, especially now with the pandemic, knowing somebody died, or relative of somebody else, and you name it, all gamut, from surgery to testing positive, dying of COVID. We actually, in the very beginning, end up making some masks, because in the villages, somebody from here know that somebody died at the village and they want to go, and they have to bring masks. And so we have our women who sew, and they make masks. And I'm so surprised. Within 24 hours, I can put together 75 masks.
It is amazing. That's wonderful.
Because somebody's going to go to the village and they're going to go to a funeral.
Yeah. And they need them. They need them. So what they need, they create. Yeah.
Right. So by word of mouth, I mean, it's amazing how things get known from one community to another community. And before the pandemic, a good number of people literally meet at the main entrance of the native hospital. They have like a rotunda.
Hmm.
Read the paper. They stay there because this is where they would see relatives, family, friends, and things like that. It's a center.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they learn to put together their own system. And so I can easily come in and just walk into that rotunda, you know, and somebody will grab me and say hello, hi, and we get to talk. You could do the ministry just there in the
There.
rotunda.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I think what's so beautiful is that anytime, as those listeners of our podcast realize that whenever we're talking with other daughters of charity, we almost always end up, no matter where we are, in the same kind of conversation where we realize that as soon as we encounter another human being, we are we are in ministry. We are there because everyone we see and everyone we know is going to have some kind of need to be comforted or just to have contact with another human being. It's just so much a part of who we are as people, and that God connection, that gift that God has given us in our vocation, to see Christ in the poor and the poor in Christ, that we right away can be in that place and be present, as you say, a ministry of presence is so vital. I think it's so, so important. And that you've been able to kind of bring that to the work there is also really beautiful. Warms my heart.
One of the things that we are all missing, the people I work with, I minister with, is that every Sunday we used to have Sunday Mass at the Native Hospital.
Mm.
So there's really not a chapel. We've worked so hard since 2001, that even before that the Archdiocese makes it a point that there is a Mass at the hospital.
Mm.
So on Sunday, I have like about a crew of 10 people, including children, that helps us set up a conference room into a worship place.
Mm-hmm.
And we literally have like, the hospital only gives us 65 chairs, and sometimes we would have over 100. We
Wow.
average about 95 people every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm walking around in a grocery store or anywhere else, and when they, even with my mask on and everything else, all bundled up, sister,
Yeah. Yeah.
when are we gonna get back? Had mass at the hospital. I said, oh, as you know, you cannot even visit your own relative if you have a
Yeah.
relative in the hospital. So that is really very, very hard because that is their center.
Yes, yeah, I can hear that in your voice. The absence of that is very difficult.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
And I have like about 7 different Eucharistic ministers.
mhm.
That when I left, we had a priest who just passed away not so long ago, 4 months ago, but he was like 24/7, Father Bernet, who did visit the patients and very good to the especially the Alaska Native. Mostly Alaska Natives that are there, and so we have 2 Kateri circles. The one here in Anchorage, some of the members of the Kateri circles saw that how so dedicated this 80 something years old going there day and night
Mhm.
serve the patient. So amongst themselves, they got themselves all trained and became Eucharistic ministers.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And
Yeah.
so each day they scheduled themselves for this. So when I came back there, when I was here the first time, we were, doing that. But when I left, they see the Father Bernet is just way too busy, and he's always tired looking and everything. So
Oh,
amongst themselves, they decided we need to help him.
Yeah.
So they have a group that really kind of takes care of the Alaska Native Medical Center ministry. And besides all the evangelization that we do and trying to reach more presence to other Alaska Native people and others, Native Alaskans,
Yes. Yeah.
So trying to make it a point that we are there and we're not just numbers and statistics.
Hmm. Well,
We-
that's great. Yeah. So there are other sisters who live with you. There are two other sisters.
Yes,
Eh,
Sister Cecilia works for the extended care from the Providence Hospital,
Okay.
and Sister Paul Freeberg, who uh, works very closely with the Society of Saint Vincent de Paul.
Oh, okay. Is there a conference there? Is that,
We
or a
have
number of conferences?
actually there's one well-established conference here in Anchorage, and one on their own that kind of put themselves together in Soldotna, and another one in Big Lake. But they're somewhat kind of connected to
Hmm.
um, the national
Yes. Yeah.
way. But that's one of the things that Sister Paul is trying to work with, to get them be really part of the whole organization in a sense.
Yeah, aggregated is the term they use. Yeah, I worked with a society in Macon, Georgia, to help
Mm,
them get connected to. And it's a beautiful process. And as the society
mhm,
is a great witness also to the spirit of St. Vincent de Paul. So that's great. So Sister Paul works with the St. Vincent de Paul Society. Sister Cecilia works with extended care at the hospital. Is that like long-term rehab, or what is that?
It, it's rehab included in it, and it's like a nursing home.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, um, end of life area also. So it's a beautiful campus that I know when I left, they were just building that, but it's like cottages, and
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
like about maybe 6 or 7 cottages out there. And so she does like pastoral care, spiritual care for the whole area. So she goes from one cottage to another
Good.
cottage and
Wow.
doing all this. It's like having 9 cottages or 10 cottages. It's like a hospital. So
Yeah. Yeah. She does the whole thing.
she does.
So, how do you feel that the ministry that's unique to us, the presence of Daughters of Charity in a community like this, do you feel that sense of Saint Vincent de Paul, Saint Louise de Marillac really walking with you, because they were, such trailblazers themselves? I mean, do
Mhm,
you have a sense that this charism is the right one for this place, and this is where the daughters need to be?
mhm. I do. I firmly believe that we are blessed to be here and still able to have sisters and to form a community. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we live in community.
Yes,
So
we
and
do.
not just 1 or 2 people, and it really is a real blessing.
Where do you see um the ministry moving from here? Do you see that this ministry of presence is just needs to become stronger? Do you see the daughters kind of moving in a different direction? Do you feel, I know you said you have enough to do with what's right in front of you. Um, so how are you feeling, or do you think that the ministry is now? Is there, Vincent always tells us there's the more we can do, but then is there more we can do? Can we sustain it? And I know you have the support of people there, but um, what other kinds of ministry, if you could, what other things would you want to have happen there?
Mm, yeah. Well, number one, I think it's so important. in the city proper of Anchorage, there's a lot of say church resource in a sense.
Mhm.
Of course, there's never enough always, you know.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I wish I have somebody who's well ministering to the young adult. I think is
Hmm.
very important, um, because we're losing part of that, but also not necessarily youth ministry just for the high schoolers. I think we need a whole lot of that ministering to the much younger ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
um, if I can multiply myself and another two more people,
Uh-huh.
I would have an after school program, just not necessarily for after school for like studying and getting their homeworks done,
Yes.
but like a ministry to the younger ones where what the olden days that they would do, they would gather together and say the rosary or have fun together. And how can you reach those young ones, you
Hmm.
know?
Maybe create community in the younger age too. I mean, it's what that, in a lot of ways, that's what that is.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But the other thing too, if I just zero in with the Alaska Natives, and I continue to speak about this even because my first experience, my first time I was here, I had an opportunity to visit those little villages. I wanted to do it because I want to know where all, you know how that story where the river and all these babies are
Yes. Yeah.
and everything, and said, oh my gosh, uh, where are they coming from? It's
Hmm.
from
Yes.
up
Yeah.
there. So okay, I want to see what's up there.
There.
Well, how can I minister to all these people that are being medevac or coming from all these villages to the native hospital? I don't have a clue what those villages look like. So I had an opportunity to visit three different villages, a village of 200, 400, and a 600. They're kind of close to one area. But I saw the the difference of not having the church really being visible, not having
Mm.
the person, not having the people to be there. I happened to visit there in the summertime, and I had an opportunity to visit one group of parish council members. You know, and he
Hmm.
said, I look at the villages and it says, yeah, what do children do? And it's really nothing much to do. In the summertime, they were just so impressed with Assembly of God.
Mm.
It's Assembly of God people in this whole middle part of Alaska. They have a group of young people coming out. They basically just clears a tundra
Hmm.
and pitch their tent, and this is where the young people sleep and everything else. And they don't go do vacation Bible school just
Good.
for 1 week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm using that word because we can relate to that, right?
Yes. Yes.
But,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
basically, those young people are there for a whole month.
Wow. Hmm.
And then they don't just leave and another whole, they intersperse and then another group comes and they literally stay there, you know. And they said, I send my grandchildren to that rather
Yes.
than picking up all this garbage, and they weigh their garbage and they get prices for picking up garbage and all these different things. They're still talking about the same God that we're talking about, so why not?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that there is a need of us, and at that time we were talking about um, no evangelization. I said we don't have to go far, and that is new evangelization.
Hmm.
Those who have the resources need to go out to those places that are thirsting for presence and knowing the
Yeah.
good news and hearing the good news. by their presence. And I always talk about it to any place, anywhere that I am, and I see, okay, would you like a challenge?
This is the challenge.
Here's the challenge. So I think, we need to really kind of look at those places and find out how we can reach those people that are, I would call it unchurched in a
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That
So
that sounds like you have thrown down the gauntlet and presented the challenge to our listeners to think about, um, how we might and how the church might continue to do that outreach. And as you said, that when I hear you say clearing a tundra and pitching a tent, I'm thinking that's a challenge. That's a challenge. But when we look at when we hear something like that and we say, oh, that's great to hear, and yeah, that's somebody should do that. One of the things I've learned is that whenever I say, well, I wish somebody, I begin to realize I might be the somebody. That as those who are listening say, oh yeah, somebody should do that. How am I sometimes the somebody? I am the one who's supposed to step up into the challenge. And so, maybe that's where we can kind of leave our conversation today, is this challenge for people to reach out. So I always kind of ask in the end if there's anything you would like, and I think at this challenge you've put before us to think about. Young people in general, but certainly those who are in these remote areas of the world of Alaska, who need to hear the word of God in a vibrant and loving and encouraging way. But what would be something you would ask us, a blessing, a prayer, a challenge, something that you would ask of the listeners to support you in your work, support you in the ministry, um, to support the Daughters of Charity in the work that they do there in Anchorage, Alaska?
well, I say most and foremost to please pray for all of us who are out here. You know, I know when people think about Alaska, they think about the midnight sun and the cold and everything else. Well, yeah, we do experience that. There's like 5 to 6 months of cold and darkness, even in the big city of Anchorage. So, but beyond that, I think uh, to pray for all those missionaries that are out here and continue to love serving and pray for other people that would be willing to bring the good news to especially the unchurched people. And for a good number of us who are um, men and women uh, consecrated to God, we can um, challenge ourselves in many different ways how we can help others by just connecting with people who have the resources,
Hmm.
like what St. Vincent have done. You know, um, we could. We know we're so connected. Yeah, we're so connected with many different places, universities, um, leaders, young people who are very the millennials nowadays. They're wonderful, young, generous young people. We need to put out the challenge to them too. And those who have the money to partner all that, we can organize all those things and help those people to meet one another to bring the good news to other places. I think we need to be more enthusiastic of seeking and speaking for those who are in need. And I make a plea for, like I said, in the villages of rural areas of Alaska, there, there are many there that wanting to hear it, wanting to see, wanting to have relationship with other people who would love to give themselves. And I think young and old, we have so much that we can share if we really put our mind into it, because we are very well connected, very much connected.
Yes, yeah. And by our listeners have now connected to you in a way that maybe they didn't expect when they first started listening to our podcast. So I think in our interview today, we've kind of opened a door for people to say, come and encounter, come and see. Come and see how you might be helpful. And so we put that challenge out to those who are listening. They can contact us through our email address, the company of charity at gmail.com. And maybe we can help to connect you with those who are intrigued and eager to come and bring the good news to Alaska, to join all of you who already are there bringing the good news and continue that work. So I thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you. It's been my pleasure, really.
As mine as well. I was really looking forward to our interview today, and God bless your work. God bless all those that you serve. And I hope maybe, we can see how things progress there.